Now, I want to turn to Shaun Ryder. He's been waiting patiently. Shaun, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, not about those things you'd be pleased to hear, but I want to talk to you about rock festivals. We saw the return of Glastonbury, and I got to say, although I would literally rather go to hell and back than actually go to Glastonbury and sit in a stinking tent surrounded by stinking people for 4 days, I got to say, I did enjoy watching it on TV. I loved the spectacle. I loved the huge crowds. And what was interesting to me was a lot of the biggest stars of the festival were the old rockers. Paul McCartney, Diana Ross and others. Let's take a little look at a clip of the two of them. Now, what was your reaction, Shaun? First of all, to the return of festivals. Do you like festivals? And secondly, to Macca and Diana Ross.
Well, you know what? I was just listening to that there, right? And it's live, right? OK, so, you know, you don't get the sound checks you're going to get at a normal show. Everything's really hurried, you know, including for the headline acts. But what I just heard then sounded brilliant, you know. I mean, I've heard, you know, bits of chatter about out of key and all that lot. But to me, Piers, I mean, I might be off my nuts, but... or not.
I don't think you're off your nuts, but you might need your ears cleaned out, because I thought this. I watched the whole of Paul McCartney's set and the whole of Diana Ross's set. I thought McCartney was magnificent. I thought that was honestly one of the greatest Glastonbury shows I've ever seen. But I also thought he was brilliantly judicious.
Absolutely, yeah.
He was brilliant in the selection of the songs he chose to sing.
He
understands the limitation of his voice, and I thought he got away with it. However, Diana Ross, I'm really sorry, but she sounded like a bunch of drowning cats. What were you listening to?
Well, I'm not going to start slagging Diana off, am I? You know, at the end of the day, right, she's got to go on there and do a live show, obviously, and you know, with a limited sound check and, you know, all good on her. I mean, at the end of the day, Diana can sing, you know, she can. And it's really tough going out and doing a show at Glastonbury. You know, she's not going to get the best sound check. She really isn't. So
let me ask you, Shaun. Let me ask you,
Shaun.
What was interesting to me, Diana Ross performed at she was the sort of final act of the Platinum Jubilee.
The Queen, yeah.
And she sounded fantastic. Yeah. But obviously because she was auto-tuned, right? They helped her. Why couldn't they do that at Glastonbury so that you actually preserve her dignity a bit better?
Because there's no time to do that, Piers. There really isn't. You know, I mean, I don't know how many acts was on before her or how many acts was on after her, but you really haven't got the time to do what they did when she was going out performing for the Queen and all that gang.
When you
I'm really not going to sit here and start slagging her off, really.
No. And actually,
it's not an easy job.
Don't get me wrong. I love Diana Ross, and I think she's one of the greatest singers in history. It's just interesting to me, in the last week, you've seen Elton John in England, you've seen Mick Jagger doing it with the Stones, Paul McCartney and Diana Ross. And I've got to say, you know, Elton, he sort of gets away with it because he's lowered the range of his singing. Mick Jagger was never that great a singer, and he's a brilliant performer and seems to maintain the same level of reasonably media. Well, he's not a great singer, Mick Jagger, is he?
He's not. Say that.
Mick Jagger is not a great singer.
He's a brilliant singer.
No.
He's the best bell-ringing ringer going in the world.
No, he's a great hip wiggler.
He's earned his right.
He's a brilliant performer, but...
well, he is, yeah.
You would never compare him to a singer like Freddie Mercury, would you? He's not a great singer.
I'd rate him better than Freddie Mercury for what Mick does. You know, I mean, you know, Freddie's going out there doing what Freddie does and Mick's going out there doing what Mick does.
Yeah.
And they're both genius and they're just both incredible performers and brilliant bell ringers. Both of them.
I do love a brilliant bell ringer. Shaun, you're on fire. Stay there. We'll have a short break and we'll be back after the break with my sensational Piers Packer, all performing at the top of their game, I have to say. Age cannot wither them, nor custom stale their infinite variety. Piers Packer still with me. So, Adam, you've been fulminating there in the break about my comments about... Well, you think Mick Jagger's a good singer, for one, which is a ludicrous position to take.
I do think he's a very good singer. I'm actually going to the Stones next weekend.
I mean, they're brilliant, the Stones, but he's never been a great singer, Jagger.
I think he has. I mean, I think he could do falsetto. What he can't do anymore is the falsetto, the sort of stuff he did on Angie and other things.
And Diana Ross?
Yeah, well, listen, you're completely wrong about Glastonbury. I mean, the one who's really lost his voice is Paul McCartney.
No!
I know.
No!
I know he's a national treasure. And
No, he can sing better than Diana Ross.
Everyone loves singing along to Hey Jude and all that, but if you actually listen to it, his voice is gone. Diana Ross's voice, I felt, is also going, but there's more to it.
No.
Than there is.
I think what is going.
I mean, Diana Ross didn't have to bring on what was it, Walsh and Springsteen to back her up.
No, but that was a good idea. McCartney played 35 songs in 3 hours.
Esther,
we all heard what we just heard. Adam's gone dead.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Diana Ross is... No. The thing is, I genuinely think, because I don't know if you remember that performance by Mariah Carey in New York years ago, and that was god-awful, right?
New Year's Day,
obviously, the older you get, the more strained your vocals are. I think she should have chosen, like, sort of ballads that are a bit slower, that didn't have as much noise, because
Diana
really
Ross still wants to play all the big hits, but she hasn't got the range.
She sounded like a bad
but
karaoke
McCartney chooses the right songs.
Well, he murdered Blackbird.
No, he didn't murder Blackbird.
Yes,
Dare you? It's actually sacrilege to talk about Paul McCartney. He's a
this is the point. You can't actually look at it as objectively as an artistic performance because, he's second only to David Attenborough in terms of sort of national...
And I think he deservedly so. Let me go back to Shaun Ryder. Shaun, I wanted to get your take, not on that anymore.
You lot in that studio, Piers, you're all off your nuts. You really are.
Go on.
You're really all off your nuts. I mean, if you put Diana Ross, right, in a studio, in a controlled environment, in a studio, not the Wild West of Glastonbury, right, winging it, put Diana in a studio where she's like Pavarotti and controlled and can hear everything perfectly, then Diana will come up with the goods. It's like throwing anyone to the lions. It's a raw thing.
Shaun, I hesitate to lecture you about singing, although I have had my own moments in front of a microphone.
Well, I'm not a singer, Piers. Neither's Bob Dylan. At the end of the day, if I came along now and Bob Dylan came along now, we would be called rappers because we don't technically sing like Pavarotti. So there's a whole different thing going on. You know what I mean? I mean, Jagger does what Jagger does, and he gets over every lyric, and he keeps key. And
don't get me wrong. No, Shaun, don't get me wrong. Mick Jagger is a great rock star. Arguably, in my opinion, the greatest rock star there's been. McCartney, to me, is the greatest pop star. Diana Ross was the female kind of equivalent of fantastic with the Supremes, brilliant solo. But sadly, as we heard at Glastonbury, her voice is just no longer strong enough to carry a show like that. It just isn't.
Well, I'm not having that, Piers. I'm not having that. She had a bad night.
Well, Esther, it's me and Esther. It's the young ones. Frankly, it's the young ones against the oldies.
I don't think she had a bad night.
Yeah, but
I don't think she had a bad night. I really don't.
Shaun,
give it out that
just
she had
one
a bad
thing.
night just because of you lot.
One thing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, your voice does change as you get older, doesn't it? And my position is, if all of them hung up their microphone right now, I wouldn't regard it as a tragedy.
Well, I actually thought that McCartney...
Sacrilege.
For Paul McCartney, aged 80, to do that show he did last night, nearly 3 hours, I just thought was magical. Absolutely magical. I really did. And I think your denigration of this godlike figure is actually bordering on sacrilege. I do. But I just think it was great. I mean, Shaun, when you play a festival...
What does denigration mean, Piers?
It means to,
in Sobodian, what does denigration mean?
It means to talk something down,
we're buddies, and I don't even know what denigration means.
Shaun, I was telling somebody earlier about our little escapade with Ronnie Biggs in Rio. It brought back very fond memories.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Let's just say my melons got well and truly twisted by you lot.
They got twisted. They certainly did, Pete. They got twisted.
Now, Shaun, in even your wildest times, have you ever eaten stinging nettles?
Have I ever eaten stinging nettles?
Stinging nettles.
I don't think so.
Right, so I've got a plate full of... I have a plate full of stinging nettles here. These stinging nettles they're repellent things. They look disgusting. They taste even worse. And they actually sting you. So the very last thing you should ever do, obviously, is eat them. Right. And yet, in a part of Britain right now, that's what they're doing. The world's gone nuts. Yeah, over the weekend, there was the World Stinging Nettle Eating Championship at the Dorset Nectar Cider Farm on Saturday. You can see them all chowing. Look at these lunatics, all munching on stinging nettles, just to remind you, look awful, taste even worse, and actually put toxic materials into your stomach. Here are the winners. Lindy Rogers was the queen of nettle eating. Again, she's won it before. 42 feet of stinging nettles she consumed, while a man known only as Niall beat off his rivals by eating 54 feet of nettles. Shaun Ryder, what do you think of that?
I think that's wild, mate.
Do you know what? I actually agree. I actually agree. You know, to me, I started off thinking it was nuts, and then I thought, actually, it's a fantastic example of great British eccentricity. There's nowhere else in the world where they would have a British stinging nettle competition. And the fact that we have people mad enough in this country to eat 50 feet of this stuff makes me proud to be British. Panel, are we in agreement?
No!
Yes, Esther, we are. Adam?
Why are they stinging you?
I don't know, because I'm impervious to sting. Shaun Ryder, final word. Are you proud to be British with these people?
Oh, yeah, I'm well proud to be Brit. Yeah, of course I am, yeah.
Shaun, it's brilliant to have you.
As well.
It's brilliant to have you, and I look forward to having a stinging nettle eating competition with you one day soon, because we've done pretty much everything else together. Great to see you.